So, for today we have something very interesting, because just recently a developer interview was released, which supposedly contains some new tidbits of information and also leaks one of the upcoming characters, which hopefully isn't just Yao, because at this point we all should expect her to be one of the upcoming 2 6-stars. And on a small side note, yes, I finally freed myself from the shackles called exams, so I do have some more free time now and can finally work on that video you've been all desperately waiting for, aka the Thunder tier list, so stay tuned for that is happening very soon. But in the meantime, hopefully you're going to enjoy this video, and before we actually get into it, the usual reminder to join the Discord if you haven't already. We are already at 400 plus, and let's make it 500, because why not? And if you really like my content, maybe even think about becoming a channel memer, of course only if you want to support me and want some of those beautiful emotes made by yours truly. But enough of that, let's get right into this interview. And well, of course, I'm going to take the place of both the interviewer and also the poor guy who's questioned. So here I go. Thank you for taking part in this interview. Please tell us who you are and what you do for this game. I'm Tourdog, Monka W, the art director of Alchemy Stars. My primary responsibility here is to make sure the game's art performance. And well, yes, you've already realized at this point probably that those translation quality problems we've had in the past also carry over to, sadly, this interview. So I'm gonna try to make sense of it. So yeah. And before we go on, you're probably a bit confused right now, because this guy claims to be Tourdog. And well, if you didn't know this yet, Tourdog is not only part of the name of the studio, but also the net handle of one of its founders, Tourdog himself. He's, like he says, responsible for the art, which makes sense if you look at his personal Twitter, because he posted some concept arts, designs and co. a couple of years ago. So if you want to check that out, you can do so by just clicking on the link of his Twitter, which I'm gonna put, hopefully if I don't forget, into the description down below. But let's move on to the next question. Adjustments and improvements were released on March 10th, including an increased number of formation slots. Please share with us the focus of this update and the difficulties you experienced, as well as the users' feedback. You are all probably already familiar with all of these quality of life changes. I'm really grateful that Tourdog finally listened to me, praying for more formation slots. It was really getting to my nerves having to delete all my teams over and over again. There were also some smaller updates, like making upgrading characters way easier in the XP and also in the faction department. This should have probably happened a bit earlier, but at least it's here now. There was also an attempt at making the AI better, but we all know how that turned out to be. Let's see what Mr. Dog himself has to say to this. Different players have different demands. The hardest thing for us to decide for this update was definitely which aspect we should address first. We read each and every letter from players and analyze the survey we launched earlier to find out the most complained issues. We held regular meetings with the planning unit to solve problems and make plans. Actually, the increased number of formation is only a small part of our design improvement. We will continue to make the game better. Well, that already sounds quite good. At least they are trying, even though their pace at making these updates definitely slowed down a bit, but at least they are making the right decisions, at least in the quality of life department. They should have probably made some more meetings to decide that the skin gacha wasn't a good idea, but that's a topic for another video. I don't really want to go on a rant right now, so let's just move on to the next question. I think our future updates will be similar to this March version, focusing on what most users are concerned about. Could you tell us what content you will work on next? I personally care more about the part that affects players' mood or causes players unnecessary frustration. Since the beginning of the year, I've been pressing my colleagues in the planning unit to work on solutions. So Mr. Dog is apparently looking out for us, so I'm grateful for that. Yeah, but like I mentioned, if he doesn't want us to be mad or frustrated, they probably should have never thought about that skin gacha idea. if you want to hear my thoughts about the whole situation, I might make a small rant video about it pretty soon. But regardless of that, this sounds like we at least are gonna get some more future updates, hopefully pretty soon. Maybe in April, maybe in May. Let's see. There's definitely some improvements we do still need in this game. Even smaller ones, like for example the placement of the Captain Change button is not ideal. But well, let's move on. The event Scarlet Amulet of Fate started on March 10th. Staged in the Far East, this event reminds me of the Cloud Blossom Destiny soon after the game's release. Could you tell us if the two events are related? For me, the game Alchemy Stars is a large and colorful fantasy world. The story Scarlet Amulet of Fate takes place in Hero's hometown in the Far East, where culture, tradition, and the entire society in general are completely different from what in Astra. So, he kind of answered this question. We already could assume this. We already knew that this event was related to Hero's event. It's the same location. So we should also expect to maybe find some familiar faces in part 2. Which should happen because there's still a lot to be explored left. Like for example also the characters that are quite obviously going to be playable, like Yao, Amemori, and all these other characters. So we will have to look out for that. Let's move on. So far we haven't heard anything about Scarlet Amulet of Fate 2. Is there anything you could share with our readers about the event schedule, form and story? So, funnily enough, I just talked about this. This is basically confirmation, but we are going to get a part 2 of this event. But let's hear some more from Mr. Dog himself. The second part, Scarlet Amulet of Fate, will be launched at the end of March. New Aurorians introduced during the first half, such as Yao, will join the team. It is still set on Cloud Island. The story will focus around the characters' bonds and memories. So that doesn't say anything at all, but at least we have confirmation that Yao will be part of the gacha probably, or at least a playable character, but at this point we should all know she is going to be a 6-star. If you look at the silhouette regarding March's events from the half anniversary stream, the middle silhouette is Yao, okay? Like nobody can tell me something else. And based on the other two silhouettes, there's at least 2 more characters. The big events usually have about 3 characters anyway, 2 gacha 6 stars and 1 freebie, but there's sometimes even a 4-star, so we could see 4 new characters. But let's read on. Many events and update informations were released at the 6-month anniversary stream. Players are particularly interested in the home system. How is it going? Who? Who is he talking about? Players? I'm not sure who he asked, but I don't think most people are actually that interested in the housing system. But sure, let's hear some small tidbits of information about the system from the dog himself. The prototype of the home system is complete. We are working around the clock to perfect effects and adjust details in hopes of delivering an exceptional gaming experience. Characters of Alchemy Stars started forming in my head years ago. I've always wanted players to have a good time with their friends, besides getting fun and excitement fighting. The home system will make it come true. Wait a minute, there's actually quite a lot of information hidden in all of these sentences he's just said. Not only does this mean the home system is quite near, like the prototype is complete, this means I think at the minimum we will see it in about 2 months. And I think the biggest piece of information I've just read is mentioning friends. I know, not many of us actually have some, but there's still the friend list, so that also counts. And this also means the housing system is related to your friends, which hints at a clan or guild system. And that was a fear I already had when this was released, and it seems that it's actually true. This is not only gonna be like an Animal Crossing type of experience, but also a guild system? I'm not sure how to feel about that, but sure, I will judge it when we see what it entails. And what he said about the characters, that's what I mentioned earlier when I talked about his Twitter. If you look at some earlier concept designs he posted like 2 years ago, you will already see some familiar faces. So maybe some of those older concept designs will actually be newer characters, who knows. So it definitely doesn't hurt to take apart his Twitter account, but for now let's move on. It was announced at the 6-month anniversary that the second part of the main story will be released before June. Could you tell us a bit more about the plot and update schedule? The second part of the main story is still under development. We hope to bring it to our players mid of the year. Nobody likes spoilers. All I can share with you now is that we will have a bigger stage and more attractive characters. Oh god. I think he knows who he's dealing with. I think I've said it before, maybe on my Discord, maybe in a video, I don't remember. But I feel like the designs of the characters definitely go into the horny territory, with Rinne and Kayano and Mr. Dog talking about more attractive characters. Definitely fits into that direction. Hopefully Alchemy Stars is not gonna degenerate into an Azure Lane 2, so let's see. And we do like spoilers, right guys? Like, I do want to see some more things, but sure, if he wants to keep it for himself, then sure. But I can already see in the edges of my screen that now it's going to get juicy, so let's get to the next question. We recently heard that a race car event is ready to be launched after April. I have to say that I'm quite surprised by this theme. Please tell us everything you are allowed to say at this stage. I personally am very interested in finding out if a similar minigame is also planned. Yeah, I think that was quite a common point back then when this was revealed. Like, race cars in Alchemy Stars, quite weird. But if you think about it, there are already some cars or vehicles and concept arts and designs. I mean, Karen has a freaking train, so everything is possible in this world, I guess. So let's hear what Mr. Dog has to say. Race cars are totally up the Red Diesel Ranch's alley. This is a story about the Red Diesel Ranch's tradition and the bond and relationship between its members. I can't wait for you to experience this. Spoiler alert, there will be a new male character in the Red Diesel Ranch, strong and charming, just like Sinza. Did I talk too much? No, you didn't, and this image is quite interesting. We do see the red racing car that definitely gives me some Mad Max vibes, and I do agree. We have seen some cars in the background of like Red Diesel Ranch related art, so I don't think it's too far-fetched to have cars in there, but as you can see, he's on a motorbike as well, a quite modern looking one, so that seems kind of out of place, so we will see. He says he's a male character who is strong and charming just like Sinza, so I expect him to also be a 6-star. I'm not sure if the racing car event is gonna feature 2 6-stars, but we do have the silhouette and I don't think he matches up to them. So there's at least 3 characters in that event. Let me pull it up. Yeah, there's the charming cheerleader and the one with the trophy. I expect those 2 to be girls, and then we have 1 male husbando. Sure, if he's a 6-star, I guess I have to roll for him, but else, I don't really care. But to be honest, this is still quite far away, this is gonna happen in May, so let's talk about that a bit later and get to the end of this interview. So far we focused on things that have already been released. Is there anything new you could share exclusively with our readers, or is there anything you want players to know? Here's a story that perfectly shows my wicked sense of humor, and mainly to manifest the special charm of True Order to our players. Did I forgot to include something? I guess the star Forgor? Or was this something original to the magazine where this was published in? I guess we will never find out. Apparently Mr. Dog shared something, but we will not see it, sadly. And yeah, the last thing is just Mr. Dog doing the usual thing and thanking us for our support. And with that we are done for today. There was quite an interesting bit of information here. We have the leaked design of the Husbando character for the Cars event. We have some information about the housing and potential guild wars in Alchemy Stars. And yeah. Huge thanks to all of my channel members, of course, and extra huge one for the 2 VIPs of the channel, the Grand Warlock and Megumin. That was all from me, have a nice day and see you next time.